Welcome to Everyday Counseling, a podcast about understanding emotional patterns as they show up in everyday life. In this episode, we're exploring why some situations feel especially activating, even when they don't seem particularly serious on the surface. Most people notice not all moments carry the same emotional charge. You might handle one challenge calmly, then feel unexpectedly tense or reactive in another. The difference is rarely about the task itself, it's about what the situation represents to your nervous system. Certain contexts combine elements that heighten activation. Authority, closeness, expectation, and uncertainty are common ones. When more than one of these is present at the same time, the system can respond more strongly. Take authority, for example. Situations involving evaluation, judgment, or decision making by others often carry extra weight. A meeting with a manager, feedback on work, or even a formal email can trigger a stronger response than expected. The body isn't responding to the present moment, it's responding to what authority has meant before. Closeness works differently. With people who matter to us, reactions often feel more intense because there's more at stake. Being understood, accepted, or supported feels important. When something feels uncertain or misaligned in those moments, the emotional response can escalate quickly. Expectation is another powerful amplifier. When there's a sense of needing to perform, maintain harmony, or meet an unspoken standard, pressure builds. Even small disruptions can feel significant because they threaten the expectation. You might notice that at work, when you feel responsible for keeping things running smoothly, or with a parent, when you feel expected to be a certain way, or with a sibling, when old roles resurface without warning. Uncertainty adds this to the mix. When it's unclear how something will be received or what the outcome will be, the system stays alert. The combination of uncertainty with authority or closeness often produces the strongest reactions. These factors don't need to be obvious. Sometimes a situation feels activating before you can name why. The body reacts first based on recognition rather than logic. This is why people often say, I don't know why that bothered me so much. The reaction makes sense to the nervous system, even if it doesn't make sense cognitively. Early episodes explored how early learning shapes responses. Certain situations resemble earlier experiences closely enough to activate familiar patterns. A tone of voice, a pause, a shift in attention, these cues can be enough to trigger an old response. You might notice this when a conversation suddenly feels loaded, even though the words themselves were neutral. Something about the dynamic has shifted and the body responds. Another important point is timing. When someone is already carrying stress, fatigue, or emotional load, activation thresholds are lower. Situations that might normally pass unnoticed suddenly feel heavy. This is why reactions can vary from day to day. The situation hasn't changed, but the system's capacity has. What helps is not avoiding activating situations entirely. That will shrink life rather than expand it. What helps is recognizing when activation is context driven rather than evidence that something is wrong. When people understand what amplifies their reactions, they can respond more intentionally. They might slow down, take a breath, delay a response, or simply recognize that what they're feeling is about more than this moment. This recognition often reduces secondary reactions like self criticism. Instead of asking why they're overreacting, people start asking what might be contributing. Over time, this awareness changes how situations are approached. Activating context stop feeling unpredictable, they become familiar terrain. You might notice that the same situations still register, but they don't escalate as quickly. There's more space between stimulus and response, leading to more choice. This doesn't remove emotion, it makes it easier to stay engaged without being overwhelmed by it. As familiarity grows, people often find that activation passes more quickly. The body recognizes the situation, responds, and then settles without needing to carry it forward. In the next episode, we'll build on this some more by looking at how people begin responding differently in activating moments and how small changes in response gradually reshape these patterns over time.